Hey guys, this is James.
And this is Danny from TDB, bringing you guys episode 126.
Guess what's happening? A green miracle.
Yum, yum, yum.
That's what this cake is called, apparently.
We're going to be having some young ripe from Yunnan Sourcing.
So, stank.
Yeah, this definitely, smelled this and said fish. So we're going to make sure to rinse this a couple times.
Yeah, so this is like a freshly pressed tea. So this is not like a ultimate judgment on the tea to say that it's fishy.
Not in the slightest.
Yeah,
not in the slightest. Just simply that it's just a testament to ripe pu'erh.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's freshly gone the... maybe fresh is the wrong word. It's recently undergone the ripening process, so it's just kind of par for the course sometimes.
Most definitely. And we're going to give it at least 2 rinses.
Yeah.
It still smells. And you'll also notice a little bit too, and James can see this better than you folks at home, but there's a cloudiness and kind of like chalky ness to the liqueur, which will go away and get much cleaner and clearer. So we will just toss these out. A little bit of heat in here.
Cool. And so, have you been drinking much ripe tea?
I've not been drinking as much ripe tea as I normally would. I've been drinking a lot of raw pu'erh, trying to get used to it. I do get the occasional bug of a familiar face, and I will indulge, of course. But I haven't been drinking as much ripe for some reason. So
interesting.
Yeah, what you get engaged with and what kind of piques your curiosity for tea, at least for me, is what I want to go for. So. Yeah. I've really enjoyed. We'll give this a taste, but it's still kind of cloudy.
Yeah. Well, I would say that a lot of people would think, like, we're still filming this in summer. It may be autumn now, I'm not sure. But we're in the future, bro.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
But seasonally speaking, raw pu'erh, I know Scott likes it a lot in the summer. I like it a lot in the summer, but I also tend to drink it all the time.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm curious to try this out.
Cheers.
Yeah.
I like that the sweetness of this actually dies off quickly, and it kind of has more. It almost like leaves my palate wanting more and like filling in other flavors where that sweetness was.
It's called mouth-watering sweetness.
That change reminds me a little bit of like a wu weed oolong, in the sense that it has sort of a lack of distinct sweetness.
Yeah,
you're just
punch
drunk.
No, I definitely agree with you. There's like this sort of like very quick burst of sweetness. Sort of like a sticky, syrupy sweetness is kind of how I would describe it. And then it's not actually that stinky, actually.
No.
It's a little bit. I'm sure that if we had drank the rinses, we would have got plenty of the funkiness. But, and look at that. That's
much
darkening up. So,
yeah.
And, I actually remember, because we actually had this tea a couple months back, or a month back at Scott's.
Right.
And I remember it being a little bit astringent, actually, which is kind of interesting in a raw pu'erh, or a ripe pu'erh rather, and it supposedly has been lightly ripened, and I mean, for the most part, they look fairly dark, but you can see there's like a lone greenish, dark green leaf there. Yeah,
and we're using a pretty good amount of leaf.
Yeah.
Not crazy amount though.
Yeah. And it looks like the leaves, for the most part, are small, so that's going to help it to brew out pretty fast.
Yep. Cheers. Ooh.
It's much more intense.
Yeah, it's getting good. Really, this tea has uncharacteristically bold flavors in the front of it. And I'm not getting as much, maybe because it's so bold in the front, it's harder to discern the little subtleties at the end of the flavor notes, but it's got a really nice bold ripeness to the front of it. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like molasses-y, and I'm trying to figure out what that sweetness is.
The thickness seems to be much better than your average ripe tea.
I think syrupy is a really great description, both in the viscosity as well as sort of the sweetness.
Yeah. And sort of how it lingers in your mouth. It's sort of like that.
Totally.
Yeah. Like on the roof of your mouth and stuff.
I like the way in which some ripes have a little bit of herbal flavors, and I get a little bit of that in here. It's not as woody or wood chippy as other ripes can be.
Yeah, that brick that we both like to drink, that definitely has a lot of that herbaliness.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Tea.
This is a nice little break from, I think, probably what we're both accustomed to be drinking these days. So. Yeah. And the color is getting just a little bit darker and darker here, but I don't expect it to get that much darker.
Probably not, unless we really pushed it, which would be nasty.
Cheers.
Cheers. Some of those, like, creamy vanilla notes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, right on. Sometimes ripe can have a little bit of a chalkiness to the texture, and I don't get that much in this. It's just kind of like thick and velvety and smooth. Yeah, this is really nice.
So drinking this in the thick of summer is probably the most seasonally and appropriate time to drink it, but it is quite tasty. It's a nice compliment, actually, and a very nice change of pace. We actually just consumed the Bosch, which is a really nice fresh raw pu'erh, and this couldn't be any more different, honestly speaking.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder how this will age, frankly.
Yeah, in the description, Scott actually implies that this is sort of like the sort of ripe pu'erh that would improve with age. Yeah. And I think one thing to look for would be to inspect the leaves. Whoa. Crazy. Yeah. Inspect the leaves after it's done and just see the color and how it compares. Like, the more heavily fermented teas are just going to have, like, darker, like, black leaves, whereas the more lightly fermented ones, or the ones that would improve, theoretically, more with age, would be dark green or brownish.
That's a really astute observation. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Let's give it a shot. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, gosh. That vanilla, that just sort of family of flavors, and kind of those creamy notes completely. Yeah. Ugh.
Good richness.
Yeah, exactly. Very rich. James has been spot on this tea. Very rich, very sweet, nice lingering finish, nice viscosity and texture.
Yeah, and I actually bought this cake a couple months ago, and it's definitely, a lot of that stinkiness has already improved. We definitely noticed a little bit when we were rinsing the tea and when we had just smelled it.
Right.
But I think a lot of it's already dissipated from the tea, and I give it my thumbs up.
Yeah, and I'm getting, a little bit more of the kind of, it's not quite fruit sweetness returning to the mouth, but a little bit of fruit sweetness, a little bit of the sort of cherry sweetness or stone fruit sweetness that I tend to love in ripes. I didn't notice it very much in the beginning. It's kind of coming back to my palate later on.
Yeah. And I would definitely say that this is sort of like a step up in terms of, like, intensity for a ripe pu'erh. And it supposedly comes from spring material, and usually ripe teas will use summer or something lower grade like that. So that might be one of the contributing factors to sort of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I think this tea with this ratio is going to steep out for quite some time. It's going to slowly lose the fullness of the flavor, but it's still going to maintain a lot of the mouthfeel and energy. So,
how long do you think this would go for?
Given how it's been going, these kind of the thick of these steepings, I would think, goodness, this is probably the fourth
At least, yeah.
Fourth steeping to, I'd say, probably a solid steepings 3 through 10 are going to be really delicious. With a nice evolution to a lighter cup at the end, and then probably 10 on is going to kind of trail off.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that might be a great opportunity to step away from the table or to switch out your Gaiwan and then come back to it later and get a little more of that intensity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, this is really good. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, buddy. Oh, man, there's something... I'm getting some cookies, something off of this, man. There's some really nice cookies, something going on in here. I'm liking it. This would be really good with, like, sweets.
Yeah, and I will say one other thing. This tea is making me sweat. Like, raw pu'erh, for me, doesn't necessarily always end up being a warming tea, although it does get the heart to my body to sweat. Yeah, but ripe tea...
Hashtag real talk.
But this ripe tea is, like, getting me all sweaty everywhere. It's like my neck sweaty, my back sweaty, my arms sweaty.
Yeah. Anyway, cut. It's definitely a warming tea. It definitely feels like a winter tea. This is not... We are in the middle of August, so...
Yeah.
And I don't know why I'm wearing a flannel, but... yeah. But flavor-wise, really delicious. Maybe if you're totally afraid of something like this at this time of year, you could ice it. It would be very different tasting, but probably still delicious. Mm-hmm. Definitely rinse it a couple times before you ice it, though.
And I think this is also a tea that you could pick up a few and have them lie around in, and it will just consistently improve.
Most definitely, yeah. And we'll see how these age. You know, there does look like there's some lighter leaves in here for sure.
Yeah, it looks like a blend of some more medium to heavier fermentation and light fermentation.
Yeah, nice intact leaves. Yep. Good quality overall. Smaller, but still looking tasty and tasting delicious.
Yep.
So, James, if folks wanted to pick up one of these cakes...
Yeah, they should go visit YunnanSourcing.com or YunnanSourcing.us, the domestic site. Also check out gdv.org and hit that subscribe button below. And thank you guys for watching.
Cheers.